Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for the therapy session, but a happy one. We won again, back-to-back wins, and look what arrived. The day my new Chelsea kit arrives, we win a Premier League game. I'm taking all the credit, by the way, but I am absolutely buzzing. Mudryk's first goal, Broja on his comeback. We'll get on the potential injuries later because we might have a whole downer again. But, you know, let's stay in Dreamland for a hot minute longer, a little bit. As you can maybe tell, ladies and gentlemen, I am a little bit ill. You might be able to tell from my voice. So we're trying to not make this go on for too long. If I start coughing or anything in between, please excuse me. I might every now and again have to turn my camera off, blow my nose, all sorts of stuff. But I'm not going anywhere. Do not worry. Chelsea won a game of football. 8 points from 7 games. We have more points than games. Would you believe it? It's outrageous. Apparently, I haven't checked the table yet, but someone on Twitter said we're 11th. Bloody hell, it's even better than last season. What time to be alive? Pies, I'll start with you. First of all, thank you for being back on. Honestly, bro, I don't think very many of us fans, expected us to win today. As crazy as that sounds, as crazy as going away to Fulham and us not being confident in winning sounds, that was the reality. But oh boy, especially that first half, we actually looked like a football team that knew how to play football. It's absolutely crazy. Now, me and you, Pice, and I was talking about this with other people on Twitter as well. I hold my hands up. I was wrong. I said Coleman left back or Craven right back will not work because neither of them push up. Well, it worked. So great. Thankfully, it's not me in charge, but Pochettino, and he seems to know better. So that's fantastic. But finally, for the love of God, finally, Enzo Fernandez played a little bit deeper and Conor Gallagher played a little bit higher, and it transformed us. It transformed our midfield. It transformed our balance. It just transformed us from top to bottom, and it was absolutely wonderful to watch. Absolutely wonderful. Like I say, especially the first half. Second half, we took the foot off the gas. When Mudryk came off, we didn't really look like we knew what we were doing anymore. But hey, first half was good, and the second half, we made sure we didn't concede and just, you know, played it out like a top team should do. You don't always need to win 4-5-0, especially with the ridiculously poor results we have had. You know, you're 2-0 up, just make sure you seal the bag and you're happy. Do you know what I mean? Sanchez has the most clean sheets in the Premier League. Big up, Sanchez. To be fair, I did put in our group chat the other day, didn't I, Pice, on Saturday, where I'm like, does anyone want to keep clean sheets this season? Because Liverpool concede every game, City concede every game. Well, now they lost as well. But even when they win, they concede. Arsenal did. But anyway, Pice, I feel like I said your name like 5 minutes ago and I kept waffling. My apologies. But I'll bring you back in. Are you as happy as me? Like I say, I did not see it coming, but that makes it all the better in the end now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm just relieved more than anything, bro. I thought it was a pretty weird performance, actually, like how we took our foot off the gas. Like, it's like we got 2 goals and then we thought, you know, it's job done. And, you know, maybe if we do that against better teams, they'll, you know, potentially come back into the game. But I think Gallagher also said, like, after the game, you know, it's not really the performance we wanted, but the 3 points is the most important. And yeah, it truly is at the moment. We had to win this game. We've got to beat Burnley because the run coming up after international break, you know, it's really, really hard. So, yeah, massive win for us tonight. And yeah, just happy for once. Like, honestly, like I had a good feeling about tonight for some reason, but I didn't expect us to like score 2 in such quick succession. I know the second one was lucky, but we deserve a bit of luck. And then obviously, you know, in the second half, we came back to unlucky again when Maatsen hit the post. So, yeah, can we have a little bit more of that luck, please? We want some more like EAFC 24 type goals going in for us. You know, like we want some luck here. You know, but yeah, just happy to get the 3 points, and fans were really, really good tonight side of the ground as well. So good.
Yeah. I mean, they sang some weird songs like Timo Werner, but fair enough. If you had a good time, do what you want.
That's what made it more funny, though. Like,
yeah, no, I agree.
That's what made it more funny. It was just so random, and they were going through the chorus of like every song possible, and it was just like they were singing. They were singing.
Felt the mood to sing a lot, have we? So you know, it makes sense.
No, exactly. Like you've got to be on it when you get the chance.
Exactly that. Joel, I will touch on Mudryk's injury situation later. Appreciate the message though. Bobby, I'll come to you first of all. Thank you for coming back on. I appreciate it very much. My days, I can't remember the last time I spoke to you, for being perfectly honest, bro, but I certainly know that it's not been a fun time between then and now. And I honestly, like, I know what Pi said in terms of how he took the foot off the gas, and apparently also Gallagher wasn't super happy with the performance. I understand, a little bit surprised by that. I thought, I mean, okay, it was a worse opponent, but in general, I don't think we were necessarily worse today than we were against Brighton, and everyone was picking that up. So I'm a bit confused by that. But in general, I'm just happy and, like Pi said, relieved that we won. How do you feel, Bobby?
Yeah, I feel relieved that we won. But what I'm more excited about is just our players were played in their proper positions. You know, I have been saying since the season started that if we play Conor Gallagher, Caicedo, Enzo midfield, that Gallagher should be pushing high up the pitch and Enzo should be in the double pivot. Like, I've been saying that for 6 weeks, and it's been driving me nuts.
Yeah.
You know, watching Enzo play as a 10 when, you know, even like the metrics say ever since Enzo moved into the 10, because the first few games he was playing deeper, but like we lost our ability to press the ball forward. Like, you know, his advanced passing or his forward passing were so good in the opening few matches, and then we just like cratered, and we've been playing really bad the last few games. So I was really excited to see that midfield switch. I hope it wasn't just a tactical change specifically for Fulham. I hope it's Pochettino has actually seen the light, and we're going to see Enzo deeper and Connor a little bit higher up. You know, be very okay with Cole Palmer in the role Connor played tonight too. Like, I mean, it depends on the opponent.
He seems to have the work rate as well.
Yeah, and he looks really comfortable dropping deeper in the midfield on the ball as well. And like him on the ball is, from a midfield standpoint, is really interesting because he's so creative. Like he's got the passing ability like Enzo does, like maybe not on the level and in the same way, but like
sorry to interrupt you. What I think he does even better than Enzo is look for a decisive pass like immediately. He receives it, and like that through ball he tried to play for Enzo in the first half when Enzo just about couldn't control it. That pass came so quick that I'm like, this is one of the big things we've been missing, and one of the things that Juan Mata in his prime at Chelsea had, that like you receive the ball, you have a split second to play someone through, but they do it and they don't wait, because the second you wait, it's gone, and then someone is offside. That's why we're offside so many times. Yeah, we always take the piss out of our forwards, whether that's Jackson or Havertz or whoever it was beforehand, Timo Werner or Lukaku even. We took the piss out of all of them, but it's not always just on the striker when the player is offside. It's the timing of passes was just never there, and I feel like that's one of the things that Palmer brings, just quicker decision making in the final third. And I mean, it's bloody Pep school. I mean, you'd think so. It's just a shame that Sterling can't always show that. Maybe he didn't pay attention, but Palmer sure did. So I'm happy with that. Sorry I interrupted you there, Bobby. Anything you wanted to allude to more? Sorry.
No worries. No worries, bro. Keep on going.
Very good. I'm going to bring up the lineup in just a second. I just want to touch on this comment here from God of Frogs. He says, remember, Ange wanted Gallagher for a reason. Ange knows ball. Ange, for anyone that's not aware, Postecoglou, obviously, the new Spurs manager, who seems like, I hate it, but a great dude and a good manager. So, yeah, fair enough. Conor Gallagher in this position today was absolutely brilliant. I'm not 1,000,000% sure if I agree with Sky of giving Gallagher a man of the match, but he was most certainly very, very good. And we will get into all the ratings in just 1 second. Maybe I should start with the other one, actually. This is essentially the lineup, but I just want to, quickly touch on what we were talking about. The shape. Obviously, you had the two centre-backs, Thiago Silva and Axel Disasi, the two full-backs in Levi Colwill and Marco Corella at right-back. And then it's still a bit up for debate, in my opinion, whether we want to call this a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 with 1-8, just a lot more attacker than the other. But it doesn't really matter. Caicedo clearly as a 6. He's so central that I'm like, are we sure it's a double pivot? But it doesn't matter. The big difference is Enzo was the one that was a little bit deeper and not Gallagher, unlike the other two, the last few games where it was always the other way around. And to me, that was the biggest game changer. I'm not sure if it had to do with having Colwill and Cucurella, and that's why he went for this or whatever. Because it was also weird, wasn't it, Pies? Didn't before the game, I swear I read some quotes of Poch essentially explaining why it's always Gallagher that plays deeper. And then we go into the game, and then he does the opposite, which had me slightly bit confused. Did you see that quote as well? I'm sure you must have done.
Yeah, he did. Like, I couldn't catch the whole gist of it, like the whole thing, but the gist of it was like, he even said, like, I think Enzo needs to improve, like, next to Caicedo. And I was thinking, well, we haven't really been seeing that. So I don't know if that's a thing in training, but I mean, we saw that today and it worked pretty well. But yeah, he was kind of saying how, like, Gallagher's form, like, he was talking about, like, recovering the ball and stuff like that. Like, he has the capacity. I'm guessing he means, like, pace and legs and stuff like that, which Enzo doesn't. But I was a bit confused because I was like, well, didn't we sign Caicedo to kind of do what he's doing with Gallagher up until today? Like, I was a bit like, we signed Caicedo to be the legs for Enzo, and now you're like doing double legs and you're putting Enzo forward. So I don't know. I found that a bit confusing, but I mean, hopefully since tonight, I think actually for me at times it wasn't always Gallagher at 10. Like, there was times where Enzo definitely pressed and was still in number 10.
That's what I mean. That's why it just feels more like a 4-3-3 where you have two eights.
But it was
like
but,
sometimes
like it worked nice because it was actually like it was a balance, and previously it was just strictly Enzo 10. Like, there's no swapping, but tonight it felt like they were swapping. And obviously Enzo way more deeper as well, and it just worked really nicely. And Gallagher played really well, to be fair. I can see why he got man of the match. I think it's because of the effort he put in. Like, as I said, like I think our standards dropped like quite a bit, and even at the end, Gallagher was just constantly pressing, constantly running, and winning tackles and winning duels. So I can see how that comes, to the natural why and wins you, over for the man of the match, because he's just. I think he played really well tonight, and I'm a big critic on Gallagher. I really am, but he's playing well most of this season. It is what it is. You can't really say he's not.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I agree. Bobby, you kind of commented on it already anyway. So I'll bring the normal lineup up so for us to do our player ratings. Just quickly to go back to when you saw the team or at the start of the game when we knew for sure that it was, they're obviously with the back four, there was the potential of Cucurella being left back, Disasi right back, and Koval in the middle. But obviously when we had confirmation of this, also once we realized it was Enzo deeper than Gallagher, happy with the lineup. Obviously, for me, in the end, it seems like it was a problem. I don't know. The secret scout said there's nothing wrong with Broja. He was always planned to come off after an hour. Maybe it was just a cramp and being tired, but he did look
Broja said that.
Bit. Sorry?
Broja said that he's not injured. It was just a precaution. He was feeling like he was leggy and needed to come off.
Yes. Great news. Not sure why he sits down on the floor and absolutely terrifying the living shit out of me, but great news. Thank you for that, Pies. That is fantastic news. So yeah, even that, still to go back to it, a little bit scared I was when I saw the Broja started because the man hadn't even played 20 minutes since returning from his ACL injury. So to start the Premier League game, almost a bit crazy. But hey, I guess if he's not injured, it worked out. He scored a bloody goal, as lucky as it was. He still scored and missed the sitter, which he was thankfully, I think, offside for anyway. But yeah, all of this seemingly only happened because Raheem Sterling picked up some sort of virus infection in the week and couldn't train, and that's why he wasn't fit enough to start, and only that's why Broja did start. Otherwise, it probably would have been Sterling up front. But what we did end up getting, Bobby, happy with it? I mean, what did you think of Koval left back, Cucurella right back before the game? Because like I said, I had my reservations where I'm like, well, which one of them is going to go forward? Turns out, both of them a little bit. Koval even getting an assist, and it was kind of a bit more balanced rather than how it was until now this season, where the left side stayed back completely and the right side went forward completely. It was a bit more even, I felt like.
Yeah, I thought, I wanted to see Ian Matson at left back and Levi Colwill left center back, but Cucurella played really well in the cup game, so I can't really fault Pochettino for going back to Cucurella at right back. I really want to see Levi Colwill at left center back because that's his best position. He's one of our best players and play your best players in their best positions. If we do that, we can seriously become a very good team again and quicker than I think people realize. But Levi played great. I think overall he might have played the best game of any player, based on what you're asking them to do. Like his ball in the Mudryk was world class, and he's a center back out there on the flank putting that ball in. So, I can't fault him for the back four setup. And then the front line, when I first saw it, I was expecting to see Enzo at 10 and Gallagher, double pivot like we had seen for weeks. But the roles seem to be reversed. And I also agree with what you guys said. I felt as if when we had the ball higher up the pitch, it became more of a 4-3-3, and Caicedo was playing as a lone DM, which I was really happy to see.
Sorry to interrupt you again, bro. But there was even times where Enzo dropped the deepest and Caicedo pushed out with Gallagher, which I found interesting. I'm not sure if you noticed that too.
Yeah, with build out, there was an emphasis on getting Enzo back to help with build out, which is obviously great because that's Enzo's so spectacular at build out, which we really need help with in the cup game based on Robert Sanchez hacking every ball in the third row. So yeah, I'm happy with the lineup. I might have done things a little bit differently here and there, but it worked out well. We won the match, and Pochettino looks bright.
Exactly. Pice, obviously, we touched on in terms of the midfield change that we had in general. Thoughts of the team, obviously, with the Sterling situation, Jackson being suspended, Mudryk, I guess, being back, and we're not 1,000% sure if it's a mix of fitness or punishment. The fact that he wasn't used more, I found it a bit ridiculous how late he came on with like 10 seconds left to go, essentially. But in general, I don't mind the team. Obviously, it scared me that Broja started, but in reality, if I now imagine he's just fit, this is a good team. Now, would I prefer Palmer as a 10 and maybe a proper winger out wide? Yeah, I would probably slightly prefer that. But hey, in the end, with how Gallagher played, it was the right decision, and there can't be anything complained about, can there?
Yeah, no, it was pretty much a team where you looked at and you thought, well, it's either going to go really badly or really well. And thankfully, it went really well. I was unsure about Broja starting, and maybe could have took him off soon. I honestly thought he would take him off at halftime. Like, found that crazy that he did 60, but
I think he might. I mean, obviously the secret scouts get it was supposed to be 60, but maybe if Mudryk didn't have to come off, maybe then Broja would have come off at halftime. I don't know. It's difficult to say, obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean, Pochettino said he hopes him and Mudryk are back for Saturday, so hopefully it's nothing too serious. But yeah, I mean, on the Mudryk,
Caicedo too, bro.
No, I don't think so. But I saw him walking. He was with the fans, and Mudryk wasn't, which was kind of strange. But I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, the Mudryk thing, I almost felt like that was a, like this is your last punishment type thing. Like coming 30 seconds, I was like, there's no real need for that. It's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? But I feel like there could have been something subtle there. But yeah, I mean, good to see him back as well. I like Mudryk a lot. So,
mate, so do I. I feel it's a shame that we seem to have a few disciplinary issues on that. But hey, maybe they can sort it out. It happens with younger players sometimes. They do something they shouldn't. I'm sure that can be said for all of us. All of us being younger, still being young, do things wrong, and then maybe I shouldn't have done that. You realize, from it.
It's great. Like,
it's not a big deal.
He's a great character from everything we've seen, like on the YouTube videos and all that. So, to be honest with you, like I know it was to do with the party video and stuff, but like I don't like maybe there was more to it. Like maybe he was specifically told, and then that's why. Because if he's just like if he's just sort of like disciplined him because he's going to a party, I do find that a bit ridiculous. Like come on, like people got to enjoy
because he did it while injured. So like if you're injured and you're jumping around, dancing around, that can't exactly help your injury.
Yeah,
right? It doesn't give off like being responsible about getting help. I think that's more the issue rather than the fact that he went out itself, if that makes sense. But I don't want to get hung up on that too long. Let's just get straight into the player ratings, and let's start with the man that has the most clean sheets in the Premier League so far this season, Robert Sanchez. Another good performance. He didn't have a crazy amount of difficult saves to make. He made one very good save, even if the effort was, well, I wouldn't say right at him, but very to the central area of the goal. But he still did well to save it with his foot. He nearly had a howler again, where he I didn't really see it properly because I feel like they never showed us a proper replay. But he seemed to throw the ball, and all of a sudden the ball was on the floor 5 meters in front of him with two opponents right next to it. So I don't know exactly what happened. Did he throw it against any one of them like he did already before? I don't know. But outside of that moment, and he does seem to have that howler in him, and that's exactly what people, like knew a bit more about him from his Brighton days, told me would happen. But, hopefully he can still turn those off, because in terms of the actual goalkeeping, can't complain. The passing was good today. The saving was good today. Catching crosses was good today. No complaints from my end, and I would honestly give him a pretty high rating. I think pretty much everyone is going to get a pretty high rating today. But I'm not sure if he had quite enough to do to get an 8, but I think a 7.5 is about right. Bobby, would you go along with the 7.5? Would you maybe go higher? What do you think?
I thought it was an 8. I think that save at the end on Jovic was really, really good. Quick reaction. He just got it. And he was a lot better with his feet today, which, wasn't that long ago where he looked like the worst keeper in the world, with his feet. So that was encouraging to see. He did have the one mistake that you mentioned, but clean sheet, win on the road, quotes there, but clean sheet, some good saves, did well. Yeah, I feel like he deserves an 8.
Fair dues. A 7.5 and an 8 so far. Then, Pice, are you going to go with Bobby? Are you going to go with me? Are you going to go lower? Some people in the chat would go for a 7, it seems.
I'll go for a 7.5. I think the save. And actually, no, I'll go 7. Actually, I'll go 7 because I don't
It
think
doesn't
he had.
change the total rating, so it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
he didn't have loads to do, but it's nice to have a goalkeeper. Sorry, Laurenz, that catches corners.
Yeah, you're right. No,
And
you're right.
you know,
That's
yeah,
true.
he does have like this. The thing is like I think his distribution, the passing, was actually really good, and then he always has like one moment where he just has like a brain freeze, and it's really
Yeah, it's
annoying.
weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna cost us one game, and we're all gonna be pissed. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, overall, he was good, and clean
It
sheets
reminds me of Diego
is
Costa in a way, like where not in like Diego had different kind of howlers, but with Diego, you never knew he could just lose the plot and like he could just
yeah,
snap and just
it's
absolutely lose
weird.
at someone, and that's what it seems like with
Really weird.
Sanchez. Sometimes he just I don't know forgets how to throw the ball or kick past the ball. It's weird.
Yeah, I'll go with 7. But
Fair dues. Overall, obviously, with a 7, 7.5, and an 8, leaving us at a solid 7.5. Very happy with him and for him so far. Let's get to Thiago Silva, and let's also touch on a little moment that happened during the game. We had a members message about it earlier. Fulham should have seen red. Thiago was literally assaulted. Yeah, I probably agree. Now, it's difficult from replays to really judge if it, was intentional. Because to me, only if it is intentional is that a red card. Otherwise, it's just a bit unlucky because Thiago kind of bends down and that's why it's an unfortunate height. But it did look like it was intentional. And then it's obviously the clearest red card you can ever see. And honestly, the one thing I want to touch on just quickly with the whole Liverpool Spurs goal and stuff with Liverpool, asking for audio conversations now and whatever they hope to get out of this. They're not going to get a replay. The thing I find a bit ridiculous about what Liverpool are doing, I'm like, but this was so early in the game. Like, you might have still lost. Like, you can't just say, okay, now we deserve a point. That's not how football works, that. Like, sure, you can say a replay, but what about your 2 red cards then? Like, because those were right decisions. The Curtis Jones one maybe a bit more on the edge. But if Gusto is a red card, that Curtis Jones one is 3 times a red card because that was way worse, in my opinion. But yeah, for Thiago, I think what I wanted to touch on is I'm surprised that VAR is the way it is in the sense of they get things wrong and then they apologize and the whole country and the whole world is talking about it. And then they still do things like this where I'm like, how can you then barely, at least it felt like that, barely look at this? Like, he literally got punched in the head. It's a bit mental. I'm not sure how you see that, Bobby. I saw Pi's tweet about it already. So, Bobby, do you think it should have been a red card for Fulham in that instance?
I think it could have been a red card, and it probably should have been. But it wasn't like the most obvious red card where that's stone cold red, Like it could have been a situation where he was just trying to turn and his arm, he was like trying to balance himself and it wasn't his intent to do what he did. Like we can't really prove it. So maybe that's why they didn't give out red. But I would lean red, but I just don't think it was a very obvious red.
Yeah, I hear that. I think if the ref gives red, I don't think VAR overturn it. I think it's just one of those
agree with that.
Yeah. I think it should be a red, but it's kind of like enough on the edge of like, are you sure? Is it on purpose? Is it not? But yeah, for me, if it's a new decision, I think it should have been a red card. Pice, I think you see it the same, yeah?
I disagree with Bobby. I think it's a straight red. I don't know how it didn't go to VAR. I saw there's one angle.
Everything goes to VAR. They definitely looked at it.
Well, no, I mean, like, I don't know how we didn't go to the monitor.
The screen.
Like, I thought, like, literally, at first I thought no, and then I saw another angle from the side. He's literally running, and he literally, like, it couldn't have been more deliberate. I'm convinced he meant it. Like, it was so deliberate from the angle I saw. Like, it was so bad. Like, he just elbowed him in the back for no reason.
It was Vinicius, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And he's Brazilian. Imagine, like, why would a Brazilian do that to Thiago Silva? He's a goat to all of them.
Bro, I don't know if this, if something happened in the play before I don't know, but that was like a I'm getting you back type thing. You know what I mean? Like the way he ran after him and then just elbowed him. There was no excuse for that. Like I'm genuinely shocked that didn't go to the monitor. I'm literally gobsmacked. But
yeah, hey, at this point we've come to expect it from VAR.
It's Chelsea. Of course, we didn't get the red. Like
exactly. It's like although we say that against Brighton, Ugo Chukwu clearly should have been sent off and he wasn't. So, but there was no VAR there. So swings and roundabouts. But I guess let's go back to Thiago Silva. Pice, I'll let you go first. All of our players were great today. You can argue maybe the 2 centre backs weren't that, didn't stand out that much because they weren't needed that much. But I still think they both had a good game. What about you, and how would you rate Thiago Silva? Pice, I'm not sure if you know you're muted.
Is that for me? Sorry. Silva, I'd go like probably like 6.5. I think he did a steady job. I think there was a couple of good moments where he defended really well. Won a couple of fouls. And under pressure one time from 2 Fulham players, and he like turned and stuff like that. And I thought he was like no nonsense today as well. So half for Silva. He got a bit lucky with a head back to Jimenez.
Yeah.
Or what's his name? Is it Jimenez?
Whatever his name is, Jimenez. Yeah, if that was still him. Yeah, okay. 6.5. Bobby, do you agree with Pice? Would you go higher than that? I don't think you're going to go lower.
Yeah, I would go 7. I thought that he looked more on it today than we've seen in recent weeks, especially on the ball. He seemed to be more assertive on the ball and moving it quicker, which is something that we really need him to do. So yeah, I thought he defended well. I can't remember like any major mistakes at all.
No.
For me, it was definitely above an average performance. So I think a 7 is warranted.
And I would agree. I was thinking between a 7 and a 7.5, to be perfectly honest, but I think a 7 is about right. Looking at some stats, ground duels, he won 4 out of 4, which is good. 1 out of 3 tackles, but the tackle stat is always a bit questionable. 1 out of 3 long balls, passing accuracy 93%. I think he had a good game today. I was happy with him overall. Let's move on to his centre-back partner, Axel Disasi, who I'm becoming more and more of a fan of, in my opinion. Or more of a fan of is maybe not the right word, but I feel like he's becoming more and more settled, and that makes him look more and more better. More better. Anyway. You know what I'm trying to say, guys. Even though his stats don't look as impressive, just not as quite as involved. Ground duels, 1 out of 2. Air duels, 1 out of 1 at least. Long balls, 3 out of 7. It's not bad. Didn't really notice him attempt that many, but still decent. 88% pass accuracy. Looking at the stats, maybe he was like a tad worse than Thiago, but I still would probably overall give them the same rating because I think as a centre-back partnership, they just did a good job today, warranting a 7 is what I would say. Bobby, would you go along with that, or do you think Disasi just has something different to Thiago?
7 for sure. Clean sheet. And I didn't notice him at all, but like I always say with center backs, if I didn't notice you, that's a good thing. I thought he defended pretty well for the most part. I remember one time he did get turned, and it wasn't a good sequence. It was, I think it was in the first half. It was definitely in the first half. He got turned a bit, but overall, I thought he did well, was good aerially. What I like most about him is I have this weird assurance that he's not going to get injured, which
that's true.
With our center back,
he doesn't seem like a guy that would get injured.
He seems very sturdy and the best ability.
It's like I know Mudryk got injured, but Mudryk doesn't feel like a guy that would get a contact injury because he's just so muscle toned. I'm like, how are you going to injure him? Other than a muscle injury, obviously.
Mm-hmm. So it's comforting to know, because God, these injuries it's crazy these days. Terrible. But yeah, I thought he played well. 7's good enough for me.
Fair dues. Pice, considering you gave Thiago Silva a 6.5, would you give Disasi the same, or do you think Disasi was maybe better than Thiago?
I'd probably say about the same, to be fair. I think they were both sort of quite astute at the back. Fulham didn't really offer that much of a threat. So, yeah, I'd probably go 6.5. I think he's playing better, though. He's getting better. So, I think that's a positive.
Fair dues. Fair enough. Obviously, still leaves us at a 7. But we move on. Let's do Marco Cucurella first before we get to the assister of the day, Levi Colwell, according to Fortmont man of the match. Marco Cucurella, and I tweeted it during the game as well, towards the end of the game. Who would have thought the player Marco Cucurella at right back turns him into prime Aspilicueta? Absolutely baffled. I'm not sure how this has happened. What a remontada. 91% passing accuracy, ground duels 2 out of 3, air duels 1 out of 2. Honestly, other than maybe once towards the end, I don't think I ever saw him get past. Do I see a dribble past that somewhere? I don't have it here. I thought he was great. Again, like he was against Brighton. Maybe I'm going too high, but I would go as high as an 8. Maybe it's partly because I so don't expect it from him. That's why I'm quite as high with the rating. But honestly, as a left-footed right back, I don't think he could have done a better job. My favorite thing was when he got a yellow and he literally took out 2 Fulham players at once. I'm like, who are you and what have you done to Marco Cucurella? It's absolutely baffling and I absolutely love it. Big fan. And yeah, an 8 from my end. Pice, do you think I've gone a bit overboard? Maybe you do, but I'm sure in general you still agree that he was great and that you're baffled he's this good at right back.
Yeah, I didn't expect it. That's for sure. I thought Poch was pretty insane when he played in there against Brighton, but
Yeah.
he does look strangely comfortable there, which is just weird
Yeah.
because I've only ever
It
known him
seems
to
more
come
comfortable
there.
in defending because he has a strong left foot to stop them from cutting inside, and that makes him look so much more comfortable, like you said.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen he's only been dribble past, I think, once in the last 2 games, which
And that
is
was including against bloody Mitoma.
yeah, and that was last game as well. He didn't get dribble past today at all, and that's I don't care. Like that's good playing out of position. Like they still did go down the flanks a lot. There was one time where he got sort of doubled up on, but apart from that, I thought he was really good. I hard to argue an 8, but I just don't know if he did enough like going forward for me to give an 8. So I'm gonna go with my first 7.5.
Fair dues. I think that in about that region, 7.5, 8 is what I was thinking too. Bobby, would you give him the 8, or would you go with a 7.5, or maybe even lower?
I'm not feeling an 8. I was in between a 7 and a 7.5. He got the yellow card and he took out 2 players, but he also got turned and almost gave away a big chance on that. But
that's when you make a professional foul, isn't it? That's the whole point.
Yes, very, very wise on his end. But I'm a huge Cucurella fan. Like, I think he just tries really hard, and I would like to see him do well. Obviously it hasn't gone great to start off here, but hopefully he can keep this form up and encouragement. We've seen it right back. And, I think today I would probably go 7, but I have no problem with a 7.5.
Well, regardless of whether you go 7 or 7.5, it will leave us at an overall rating of 7.5. So I think we found a happy medium there. And you know what? Just quickly, shout out Mark Cucurella, because he's not had an easy life. Poch was talking about in the press conference, I think, in terms of obviously Cucurella wanted to go to Man United. He had agreed personal terms for that loan. But then it didn't happen because of Man United's, offer, I guess, in terms of they wanted to be able to send it back in January and blah, 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 right? No buy option. And that kind of been easy when you kind of realize the club want to sell you, but then you end up staying. It's not an easy situation. And then so soon after, in terms of amount of games, after that happens, you have to be thrown in because of injuries, out of position, and to play the way he has in the last 2 games, I think shows very, very impressive mentality. And in terms of not someone that just sits there and sulks and just, is miserable. No, he is going to fight for it. And my favorite thing about him in these last 2 games has been his physicality and how energetic and aggressive he's been in duels and just tackles. I've really, really enjoyed it. And that's not something I've really seen from him that much. Last season, maybe sometimes too much in terms of that he overcommitted for tackles, but it wasn't like it didn't seem aggressive. It just seemed rash last season. And now it just looks aggressive, and I love it. Like when against Brighton, when he fist pumped like the fans after he got a tackle in. I'm like, I love that. Like, who would have thought Cucurella has Bonucci in himself where he celebrates a tackle? But absolutely love it. Fair play to him. And hey, while Gusto and Reece James are not available, long may it continue. And then do we have a conversation for left back? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But we get onto the other side. Levi Cobo. Bobby, I let you go first on this one. What an assist. In general, what a performance. I mean, on the one hand, it's not surprising. The more he's going to play out of position, the more comfortable he will get in that out of position. And I still prefer to have him at centre-back. But hey, if he plays like today more often, I'm not complaining about him being a left-back.
Yeah, he was excellent. I think he was a 9 out of 10. Clean sheet. He defended very well. I don't ever remember him giving up any opportunities or making a mistake that could have led to something. He obviously had the assist, but he also had a number of other really good balls that were, forward passing, progressive passing, which is what he's so good at that. Last year for Brighton, he started so many of their attacks just sending long balls, and we've been missing that because we play him at left back. But today I feel like he was able to kind of take advantage of that skill set more. Yeah. I think he was our best player today. Conor Gallagher, man of the match, I'm fine with, but defenders often don't get the glory, and I think that's just what it was. Like, didn't get the glory because he's a defender, but today he was our best player, and 9 out of 10 for me is what I would say for him.
Fair dues. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to be much different, but I'll go to Pice first. Do you agree with Bobby's 9? Do you think the assist and the general performance warrants a 9? Ground duels, by the way, 5 out of 7, very strong. Aerials, 2 out of 4. I guess he could maybe be a bit better at that, considering he's a centre-back playing at left-back, but still, 2 out of 3 tackles. Passing accuracy, 82%. Okay, could be a bit higher, but he obviously attempts difficult passes, which obviously will bring down the accuracy a little bit, or the completion rate a little bit. But in general, they're still the passes that help us break lines and help us break and beat presses and help us, transition play and go into the attack. Plus, obviously, the assist. What a gorgeous, gorgeous cross it was. Pice, do you agree with the 9? Would you go lower? Would you maybe even go higher?
I mean, he was... I want to go 8.5 because I think he was my joint man of the match, personally, from what I saw. So, yeah, 8.5. Yeah, I'll go 8.5. He was very good and he looked very comfortable at left back today. The only reason why I'm not going higher is because I don't think that, the wingers of Fulham offered him enough sort of like moments where he had to defend. And I think that's why I went.
Should that affect his rating?
Yeah, because I think if there was a different winger, then if he locked them down at left back, then I'd definitely
you can only
go,
beat what's in front of you, right? I don't like, I feel like, so that means you can't have a good rating if you play a bad team, is essentially what you're getting at.
I think 9's very. I mean, I'm only going 8.5. I think
no, it's
9
it's true. I'm just
9 is basically you're saying he's 100% your man of the match, in my opinion, and he wasn't.
What if there's multiple?
He was very good. Great assist.
Yeah, fair play. And honestly, I know I questioned you now, but I honestly can't fully decide between an 8.5 and a 10 and a 9. Sorry. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat, I've given you a poll at the top of the live chat. So please vote between an 8.5 and the 9. We will get back to it in a little bit and see what you guys have chosen. And that's what we're going to put on screen. So please do place your vote in the poll. And also, as I'm at it, please subscribe if you haven't already. Still on the road to 20,000 subscribers, getting ever closer. I appreciate every new subscriber. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Really helps me out spreading these streams out to more people. But yeah, shout out Levi Colwell, and we'll get back to his rating in a minute. Moises Caicedo, before we get into the rating, let me bring up this tweet that Pice put up earlier on a comment from Pochettino via TalkSport. He says, or he hopes, Caicedo, Mudryk and Broja are all fine for the weekend. Now, there could be something, there could still be a knock, and maybe one of them misses the game or whatever. But I think that still gives us enough, enough info to think, okay, it's at least nothing is bad. Even if they miss a game or two, it's nothing going to be serious. So at least that's something, I guess. But coming back to Caicedo, today was the first time where Caicedo looked like the Caicedo I hoped we signed when we signed him. And I'm not saying he was absolutely perfect, and I'm not saying he played like a £150 million player quite yet. But I think in general, he was very, very good today. Ground duels, 7 out of 10. Tackles, 2 out of 3. Accurate long balls, 4 out of 4. Successful dribbles, 2 out of 3. Passing accuracy, 89% in that position is top. Really, really happy that switch ball or that crossfield ball to Levi Colwell before the assist to Mudryk was wonderful, perfectly weighted. Really made Colwell go for it, which meant he couldn't slow it down and had to straight go for the cross. Absolutely brilliant. Up there with man of the match for me. Like, for me, it's Colwell, Caicedo, Enzo, Gallagher, Palmer, and maybe even Mudryk. Mudryk obviously only played one half. But in that half, I'm not sure if anyone was better than Mudryk. But we'll get to that when we get to it. For me, Caicedo, I'm probably going to say 8.5, I think he was very, very good. Like I say, if I see the stats as well, they fully back it up. I'm very happy. This is what I want. Him next to Enzo, their chemistry looked really, really good. How they celebrated after Mudryk's goal together was really good. I love it. Absolutely love it. And I thought he was very, very good today. And like I say, I'm going to go 8.5. Pice, 8.5 for you, maybe higher, maybe lower. What do you think? I don't think you're going to go higher by what you've said about Colwell. But would you agree with an 8.5 or go lower?
I may have like, yeah, no, I don't know. I was gonna say I may have like 3 joint man of the matches, but I think it's probably 2.
Well, you can do.
Yeah, I think it's probably 2 with him and Colwell. So yeah, I will go with an 8.5. I thought he was very good on the ball. And I tell you what, like, I don't know why. How many fouls did he win? I felt like he just sort of helped us, like,
I'll
sort
tell you
of
in just
turn
a second.
over.
He was fouled twice and committed
Twice.
two.
Honestly, it felt more than that. Maybe he skipped away from a few players, but I just felt like.
And there was one occasion where he was fouled and didn't get the free kick.
Yeah, like I felt like he was really good helping us like escape any pressure Fulham put on us. The ball to start the goal, I thought it was going to go out, but it was a good ball in the end.
Yeah.
Colwell got to it, nice switch of play, and I said his passing was underrated when we signed him. By the way, it definitely is. He had a similar one to Matoma before for Brighton, which I saw very similar against Everton away, and you know, he was combative in there. I think he was good in the tackles and stuff like that, and that's what we need. I felt like we had more of a balance today. And I just hope he keeps playing, you know, the same way. If Gallagher's going to play, he needs to play what he did today. You know, we need to see the same thing. So,
yeah, I agree. Now, Click said here, Caicedo is definitely injured for a month, maybe two. I don't think so. To me, it looked more like why he looked in so much pain, why he was limping, because it was knee on knee.
What is a contusion? Because that's what Poch said it was.
I think essentially like an impact, like a bruise. I think what confusion is.
I'll spell it out.
When it went knee on knee, Willian's knee on Caicedo's knee, and especially the front of Willian's knee onto the side of Caicedo's knee. But it didn't his knee never bent in any awkward direction. So that's why I don't think he should have any ligament damage, and that's why I think it's most likely just like the pain of the impact, and it was obviously quite sore. But he was probably a bit swollen tomorrow and probably a bit, sore tomorrow. But I think he could be fine. Now, I'm not sure if Nicholas is right there. Maybe he did say that. But still, all you need to do is really watch the replay. Kunku, you can see how he twisted the knee a bit awkwardly. And I don't think that happened with Caicedo. So obviously, let's be positive for now. I hope, fingers crossed, it's not going to be that serious. Pice, did you agree with the 8.5 in the end? Sorry, remind me.
Yeah, I did, yeah. He's my joint man of the match, just.
Fair dues. Bobby, I mean, you gave Colwell a 9. Do you have a joint man of the match, or is he your only 9, and do you agree with Caicedo's 8.5?
I think Colwell's only my 9, but there's 3 names behind Colwell that are very, very close for me, and Caicedo was one of them. I would probably go 8, just because he didn't have a moment that was overly decisive in deciding the match, whereas Colwell had that great assist. But I thought Caicedo was extremely good on the ball today, and he was more active, I feel like, than he has been for us. I feel like he was just popping up everywhere, which was something that we expected from him, And we know he has the ability to do, because we watched him for Brighton last year do that, and he completely took over games last season at Brighton. And I think today was the closest we have seen to him take over a match. And it was encouraging to see. Hopefully he's healthy. A contusion sounds like maybe he got a knee to the thigh, or, it could have hit his knee or whatnot. Maybe, he'll be okay. But yeah, it was a really good performance from him. This is what we expected, him on the ball, progressing play, handling the pressure, and then cutting out play to, protect our back line is exactly what we've been needing. And he did a good job with that today.
There you go. Fair enough. Let's get to another man who I thought was absolutely incredible today. And I would love to give him a 9, but the reason I'm not is because that rebound he got after Martin hit the post. Enzo's left foot, I can't trust him finishing. If you remember that preseason thing against Dortmund when he couldn't hit an empty target, I was like, okay, left foot finishing is not it for Enzo. That's the only reason I'm not going to give him a 9, because I thought he was absolutely brilliant. I was even still considering a 9, but yeah, absolutely brilliant. 5 out of 8 ground duels, 2 out of 3 tackles. Surprisingly small number of long balls for Enzo Fernandez. Only attempted 2, succeeded with 1. But that outside of the boot through ball to Palmer in the first half, even if Palmer didn't quite manage to do something with it, and arguably it would have been better if Enzo passed it to Mudryk instead of Palmer. But the execution of the pass to Palmer was just outrageous. Reminded me of that Lampard pass to Drogba many years ago, if people remember that one. Absolutely brilliant. 91 pass accuracy as well in that position is phenomenal. So yeah, he was a joke today again. And it's just, when I see it, it makes me, obviously I'm happy about today, and I'm happy about Enzo's performance, and I'm happy that Poch played him here today. But when I see today, it makes me even more angry that for the last month and a half, I had to watch Enzo play as a 10, purely because our manager is an absolute moron and thinks that's a good idea. Yeah, you get me? Yeah, it's amazing that it worked out today, but why did I have to witness the other thing for so many weeks beforehand? It's so unnecessary. But yeah, Enzo, absolutely brilliant today. Bobby, judging by what you've said, I assume you're probably going to also say 8 to 8.5. Which one are you going to go for, and how do you explain it?
Yeah, we had the same exact thought process, but I was at an 8.5 but I'm down to an 8 because of the missed chance. I'm like,
Okay.
I feel like he was like an 8.5, but because of the missed chance, like I got to dock him at least a half point. It didn't cost us in the end, but he's got to start burying some of these at some point because there's a handful now, like, the preseason, but even in games, there's a handful where he has some pretty good opportunities and he is missing some big chances. So we need him to do that. But it was so great to see him back in a role he's more suited to. His, long range passing was back on display today. That outside the foot through ball he played in the first half was, oh my God, I stood up. I was just, I was like, oh, I'm like thinking it might lead to a chance, but like that type of stuff is just, there's only a few players in the world that can do that. And he's one of them. And he's our most important player. And I really, really hope Pochettino keeps playing him in a deeper role because we only go as far as Enzo takes us this season. And he can take us a lot further if he's in his best position than if he's getting lost, up behind a striker where he's not able to take advantage of what he's best at. I thought he was really good today, the best he's played in, probably a month. I don't know when the last time he had a really exceptional game. It's been
I don't think he's had one this season. Maybe Liverpool, but
Liverpool, he was good for sure.
But not as good as today in my books. Obviously, different opponent. I get that, but
8 for me. Excited to see him back in his more natural role.
Fair dues. Pice, then you're going to decide probably between an 8 and an 8.5. What you're going to go for and what you have to say about Enzo today.
Sorry.
All good.
I probably got 8 just because of the missed chances. Like the one that actually annoyed me more was like the one that fell back to him and he blazed over the bar. Like honestly, and I was like, I think the one where it fell to him inside the box was really good save from Leno, but he should have probably scored that as well. But he needs to improve on his shooting, man, because I know he's got bangers in him. Like I've seen him score bangers for Argentina, and Benfica. So. Yeah, he was great today though. Like how much? The one thing about this whole midfield today, like the one-touch passing in tight spaces was just so good. Like there was no taking too long on the ball or running into traffic. Even Gallagher, bro, you see that flick he made, like the almost scorpion flick. I was like, what is going on? I didn't know. Like that's a team playing with confidence, and that's why we need to bloody win more games because we'll see so much better performances from the whole team. I just felt like. Even like the little nutmeg at the end, he was just so silky with it. The pass, as Bobby said, was outrageous. Could have probably played it to Mudryk, but it was still an outrageous pass. He did great today. I also won't go too higher because I do think the midfield today we lacked a lot of control. Like at times, I felt like it was periods. Second half, I was like, how much did we actually have the ball? It felt like Fulham had more possession. Maybe I'm wrong, but. It did feel like that.
In total, Fulham had more possession. Fulham had a total of 56% and we had 44%.
Yeah, it was a weird game. I don't know how it ended up that way, but...
When Broja came off, we lost all control.
I also think with the second half, when it started, not having Mudryk made a big difference in terms of...
Yeah, because they were looking for Mudryk the whole time. And when Martin came on, he did well defensively, but it was not that sort of attacking outlet there. Obviously, hit the post, but... It wasn't the same, was it? Like, it didn't seem the same when him and Broja came off.
No, it really didn't, which I guess makes sense. I mean, we already have a full 11 missing. If you then take another few players off for players that are not quite as good, of course you're going to feel that, right? Or in case of with Broja and Sterling, first of all, Sterling not being really fit, but also a very different type of player who's not really suited to play striker, especially in this type of game where we were kind of seeing out a result. But yeah, fair enough. And an 8 for Enzo, I almost feel it's a bit harsh, but hey, here we are. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please place your vote in the poll for Levi Colwell's rating. As we move on to Conor Gallagher, and Pice, I'll let you go first. Obviously, won the official man of the match, like we touched on. Would you go like Enzo? Would you go the 8.5 like Caicedo and maybe Colwell will have? How high would you go for Conor Gallagher? Because I think we can all agree that he was very good today.
Yeah, I'd probably go 8. Personally, I felt he played really well, but I think what's more impressive, obviously he had that flick and stuff, but just his pressing ability. We all know it's there, but his desire, I think, was the main points. And I'd like to see a bit more of him on the ball, driving today's game, but I think he played really well overall. I mean, you can't really knock an 8. He was solid, and he was one that didn't let his head drop as well. Like, I'm not saying they let their heads drop, but like in a sense of we let our foot off the gas. I think, like it was sort of. Whereas Gallagher, I felt like always wanted more, and again, like, why is he not pressing as a number 10? Like, why has Enzo been like that? I don't understand, bro. Like, it was crazy. It was like moments in the first half where he was pressing like the left-hand side, and then Fulham switched to play because he didn't get the ball.
Over, yeah.
And then he ran all the way over to the other side. I was like, what the hell? Like, this guy just does not run out of energy.
Yeah. And Palmer the same, to be fair. Obviously, we'll get to Palmer in a second, but Palmer is also like that.
Yeah, Palmer was anticipation as well, like for that goal.
Yeah.
Just the press. You could see like the tactical comes from Pep, man. Hopefully he doesn't fall out of that Pep. He's almost got what is it when they have like the muscle memory? That's it. He's got like Pep muscle memory.
Just watch the All or Nothing City one. Just watch it on repeat, Palmer, so you don't forget, mate.
Yeah. Don't turn into a bum, please. Don't lose that. Don't lose that.
Bobby, an 8 for Gallagher from Pice. What would you give Gallagher today?
It's strange. Like, we look at the stats after the game, and he has most recoveries in the final third, most entries in the final third, like all these really good statistics that you want to see from a player. But it's like in the game, he's one of those players where you don't really notice it as much when it's happening. And then after the game, you look at all the advanced metrics and stuff, and it's like, holy shit, Conor Gallagher did a lot, but this is his best position. Like, he's an 8,
without
10,
a doubt, and I can't understand why. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Like, he's a pressing 10. Like, this is where at Palace he was so good for them, and we used him in that role tonight. Maybe, like, is this the first time we've ever used him in his proper role at Chelsea? Like, last season he was playing double pivot terror ball, and this season he's been much better in the pivot this season. But I thought tonight that he was good. I don't think he had like those moments that like Enzo did or Palmer did to really wow us or anything. But when I look at the advanced stats and everything, like, I can't argue with an 8. So I'm going to go 8. I really love his effort. I love his fight. Wore the captain's armband again. At this point, like, this summer, I thought 45 million was a great deal to sell him. But I hope that they get him re-signed, because the fight and the care he has for Chelsea is needed at our club, and I just want him to stay around.
There you go. I agree that he should stay around, absolutely. I probably would have gone for an 8.5, if I'm being perfectly honest, but there you go. With 2 8s, I'm pretty happy with that as well. And shout out to him. With the performance today, it's difficult, because in an ideal world, like I said earlier already, I would prefer Palmer as the 10 and a winger as the winger. But if Gallagher plays like he did today, if we did drop him for next game, it would be harsh, because whether you not think he was the best player or just very good, he certainly did enough to stay in the side. So fair play to him, hats off to him. Very, very happy. Let's move on to Cole Palmer. His first, I'm not sure if it was just for us, but it might be his first Premier League start full stop, including for City. I'm not sure if that's true, but he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. He obviously got the assist for Broja's goal, even though it doesn't officially count as an assist, I guess, because Reed obviously kind of hit it at Broja and then it went in. But still, Palmer played him through and intercepted the ball super well, like Pice touched on. And just in general, that through ball he had to Enzo. Sure, there was moments where he could have done a bit better, like when that Enzo through ball from Enzo met him. There was a few occasions where he maybe could have done a bit better, but for his first start, see, this is why I feel a bit. That's why I wanted to give Gallagher an 8.5, because I don't think Palmer deserves the same rating as Gallagher, but I think Palmer deserves an 8. So I'm still going to give Palmer the 8. But there you go. Passing accuracy, 81% with the type of passes he plays is very good. Had a key pass as well. 1 out of 1 crosses. 1 out of 3 long balls at least. Ground duels 1 is not that great with only 3 out of 10, but obviously he plays very high up the pitch. And I still think one of the things I really like about him is how hard he works defensively and how intelligently he works defensively, how he wins the ball back often. And also, he's so press resistant. And the way he moves and runs, it's weird. He almost looks like, from a distance, like a mix of Havertz and Ziyech, but like if they were all of a sudden good, which is kind of weird. Especially obviously both left-footed and everything. I would give Palmer the 8. I can absolutely see if someone is going to say he doesn't quite deserve the same as Gallagher. I get that. But I still think, individually speaking, I think an 8 would be fair. Bobby, how do you see about Palmer? And regardless, what did you make of him and what do you think of him? When did he get booked? Apparently he got booked. I didn't see that.
I didn't see him get booked either. For me, I thought he was 8.5. I thought he was our second best player. Yeah, I love this kid. I think he's the most entertaining forward player we've had play for us in years, really, because, yeah, I mean, he's so good on the ball. His body feints, like the left, right, like these defenders never know where he's going because he's always feinting with his shoulders, and he's very good at manipulating, manipulating defenders and making them guess as to which way he's going to turn. I think the best word to describe him is crafty. He's really crafty on the ball. He's got, that crafty pass, the through balls in behind. He's a really interesting player. And I think I don't know how much credit we can give to the recruitment department. Like many people have known about Cole Palmer for 3 or 4 years, but this purchase is looking great. And today I thought, he was really good. He made the interception. Tim Ream gifted him the ball, but then he did a perfectly weighted through ball into Broja. Yeah, Ream got a toe on it, bounced back to Broja, and he doesn't get the assist. But, yeah, I thought Cole Palmer was excellent today. He's been excellent pretty much every time he's come on for us. And in my opinion, he's a lock in the starting 11. Like, he has to be in the starting 11, either at right wing or 10, wherever you want to play him.
Or
he
somewhere.
has to be out there.
Absolutely. And I think him playing right wing when you have either Reece James or even Gusto available will unlock him even more, because obviously Palmer's perfect position is kind of that between 10 and right wing. So
like
kind
an
of
inverted winger.
Exactly. So when we obviously attack with one fullback pushing, let's say it's Reece, then Reece kind of creates the furthest out wide right position in the 4 behind the striker. And Palmer comes kind of inside as a kind of right 10. And then whoever plays the other 10 can become a left 10. That's perfect for Palmer. Obviously, we can't even do that yet, but it's already working. So God knows how good it's going to get then. Pice, an 8 from my end. Bobby said 8.5. What would you give Cole Palmer today? Maybe I've been the one at the low end.
I think I've got to go for an 8. I do think Colwell and Caicedo had a bit more influence, but Palmer was very good. He was very good. I really like Bobby's description of him. Craft is a really good word. No, I like how you said Ziyech and Havertz, because he's got the Havertz frame where he's lanky. He's not really well built. He does look a bit sort of nonchalant on the ball,
but the Ziyech left foot, it seems like.
Yeah, and he's I do worry maybe he's a bit one-footed, but hopefully, he can, maybe a teeny bit one-footed, but he just looks like a really intelligent player. And I want to see him have a start at number 10 as well with just imagine Mudryk, Palmer, Madueke, Jackson. They're so dynamic, honestly. I really want to see that. Enzo, Caicedo pivot. I get excited about that because I think as a number 10 as well, he's probably less predictable. He can sort of find the space because he has that off-ball movement as well. And he can thread those passes through and pick those little passes, even down the sides. It doesn't always have to be a through ball. So, yeah, I really like him at the moment. I do. I enjoy watching him play. I do think he got really lucky for the Broja goal. Just in a sense, I was screaming for him to play it quicker. I think he took too many touches, but at the end of the day, it worked out. So, yeah.
There you go. Sometimes it has to. We've had so much bad luck. Every now and again, we also deserve a little bit of luck going our way, I guess. But there you go. Leaves us at an 8 for Cole Palmer. And we move over to Mykhailo Mudryk. And oh boy, I think all of us were just really, really happy and pleased for him to get that goal. We've touched on Colwell's assist plenty already, what an assist it was. But even for Mudryk, the touch, the chest control, brilliant. How he squeezed that finish on the Leno, which looked intentional to me. It's a great finish. Absolutely brilliant. Now, sure, he had that shot a little bit earlier that he put way over, sure. But still, in general, I thought he was just, I don't know. And this is exactly what I said a month ago when he wasn't starting. And I was like, just start the kid and he will get better. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. This is what, the 3rd start in a row, 4th start in a row. And you can see how much more confident he's getting. Also, how much more than his teammates, how much confidence they're gaining in him. Because compare now to even last season, but even at the beginning of this season, how many more times Mudryk was given the ball today compared to the last few, compared to before. It was crazy. If I open Mudryk here, How many touches did he have? Obviously, he only played a half. Oh, well, I guess it's only 16. But for Mudryk, 16 touches in half is actually quite a lot, which is a bit crazy. But still, and yeah, you can see he's more confident. Yeah, he still had his 2 moments where he wasn't great. Tried to pass it back to someone once and played it straight into to the opponent. He tried to go around someone and played it out of play. But in general, also that little dribble at the end, not long before half time, when he got us a good free kick. Brilliant. Very, very happy for him. Because of the goal, I'm not going to say 9, but I think with the goal, he deserves an 8.5 because I think even outside of the goal, he was very good. He was very dangerous. What was his dribble stat today? I haven't seen it yet anywhere. Well, apparently attempted none. Not sure how that's happened, but how did the foul happen? Was there not a dribble and then he got fouled? Does that count as not successful dribble? Who knows? Maybe it just counts as foul. But I will say 8.5. People will probably say that's a bit too high, but yeah, I'm just very, very happy. And for me, it's also look at the difference in the first half with him being there and the second half with him not being there and how our attacking output changed. And I think impact on the game in that way is often visible. And I think gives a good indicator about how good someone was, because once he wasn't there, there wasn't really much going on in performance, attacking-wise anymore. So yeah, 8.5 from my end. A few people in the chat seem to actually agree, which I'm very happy to see. Pice, what would you give Mudryk and what do you have to say about Mudryk finally getting that first goal?
Yeah, I thought he was very good. I hope we get to, maybe it's me being a bit picky, but I want to see him more involved in the game. Like, I want to see more. I just want to keep seeing more. I want to see more direct runs. I want to see him show for the ball more. I just want to see more from him. Like, I'll give him an 8 for today, but if he can, like, consistently have, like, sort of 6 runs at a defender and a half or something like that, like, really good sort of just constantly. Like, I want him to be, like, our main outlet, our main threat, because I really do think he's got the talent to. It's just about confidence now. And I don't mind. I'm not going to knock him for those moments where, he runs the ball out the pitch or whatever, because usually he does something good the next time. And that for me shows like slow development. And I just honestly, I tweeted out, like, he's the only process I'll 100% believe in, because I don't care. Every time I see him, there's just something there. You can see the talent. And I believe in him, honestly. I really do. I think his ball striking as well is something we haven't seen yet, but I know he's got that in the locker. Like, he's definitely going to score a screamer for us this season. And his goal was really well taken, and everyone was like, "I'm really surprised he finished that." I'm not, because I know he's got that in him. Like, I know training's not matches, but you do see it in training how well he hits the ball. You know what I mean? So I'm not surprised. And I was looking at some of his Shakhtar goals the other day actually, and like, this guy can finish, like, he can. Yeah. So I want that more from him. Like, I really do. And I think just if he's fine for the weekend, like, keep starting him, and big up to Poch as well, because he's finally given him a run of games. Like, we haven't had a manager who's done this. Like, thank you.
I mean, to be honest, we don't have any other fit attackers, so he doesn't really have a choice anyway.
He could play Martin there. Or he could, he could do other things. He could play 3 at the back, and he's not. Like, he's trusting Mudryk. So
that's true.
like, fair play to him. And he's obviously deserved to train, like, deserved to play, because I've seen, like, a lot of stories this week from the Mail and the Athletic saying, like, how the players see how hard he's working and stuff off the pitch, and that's also
like saying they've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, that's actually like 80% of the reason why I trust the process of him, because he's got that mentality in the back of his mind, and he's actually.
Sometimes I still wonder a little bit where I'm like, if you are as talented as we hope and think, with how hard you work, wouldn't you already be better? That's the only small question mark I sometimes have in my head, where I'm like, you work this hard, and hard work will always pay off. Always. But maybe he's just not that talented then. Well, depending on what you define as how talented he is. But, I think
honestly, I think he has the potential to be one of the best swingers in the league, easily, for me.
I agree with you. It's just a question that sometimes pops in my head, because, like I say, he works that hard, and I think he is that talented. So sometimes I think maybe I'm wrong, and he's not quite. Still very talented.
But this is the thing is, like, it's also like there's really a new team around him, and it's like, again, like, if you put him in, if Arsenal signed him, like, with how, like, their team's already complete, I just think he would have been, like, even better by now. Like, so I think there's like that patience of him, and this is kind of like the only reason really you can say, like, oh, we must keep Poch, because if we go through another manager, it's like, you almost start the process again with him.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's just so annoying in the sense, but yeah, he's
I
doing
agree
well.
with you, mate. I agree. There was also this moment where he had like that double tackle quite close to like
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. His work rate is really good. His work rate is good. I've always
and
said this.
he's not scared of like flying in and stuff, and I love it. Absolutely love it. Bobby, an 8.5 from my end, an 8 from Pice. What are you going to give Mudryk today?
For me, it was a 7.5. Had a really well taken goal, his first one. Off the chest, his control off the chest was excellent, and he had a good finish. But the only thing, like before that touch, though, he had 7 touches and lost possession 5 times. He had also put the ball, 10 rows up. So, in my opinion, the start of the match, it wasn't overly great for him. But then when he scored his goal after that, he looked much more confident. And then obviously, like, it was unfortunate he got subbed off because, with we had a lead, we could have played, counter. And he's the perfect player for that. So he maybe would have got a second.
Would have got another goal. Yeah, exactly. It was a real shame he had to come off, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, for me, it was a 7.5. I just don't think he was overly good until the goal. But, the goal was excellent. First goal, good for him. He deserves it. And hopefully he can, use it to build on and keep getting goals.
Fair enough. No, fair enough. Overall, leaving us at an 8. And we move on to the comeback man. Not his obviously proper comeback, but his first start since this ACL injury. And Armando Broja, now obviously he had that absolute howler of a finish after he kind of rounded the keeper and there was no goalie in net. Still 2 defenders in front of him. And he put it like into row Z, literally. I think a few people have clocked on this by now. I think he was offside anyway, so it wouldn't have stood regardless. So it's maybe not as bad. But even with that, he shouldn't miss the way he did. But at the same time, I'm like, it's his first start after being out for 10 months with a torn ACL. He's back surprisingly quickly. He started sooner than he should have done if Jackson wasn't suspended, if Sterling wasn't ill. With all of that, I still think people need to consider that. And I think Zarkantella tweeted during the game that it's kind of remarkable how strong, fit, quick, and sharp he looks, considering how long, like I say, he's been out for, what an injury he had. Absolutely fantastic. And obviously the goal was, let's be honest here, it was pure luck. But I still liked, Bobby, you touched on it earlier. Once he came off, we kind of had we didn't really know what we were doing anymore. I liked how he held his runs. He, unlike a few other players over there, including Jackson, but also in the past few seasons, he seemed to be better at making sure he's not offside. I know I just said that shot he had looked offside, but, it was a bit of a kerfuffle over the ball when it was like, when is it play, when is it not? Do you know what I mean? But I still think because of the goal and it being his first starts, and I just hope he's not actually injured like he apparently said, I'm going to give him a 7. Yes, maybe on pure performance, that's a bit high considering how lucky the goal was. But, I'm still happy with it. 11 out of 15 passes, 29 touches, ground duels, 5 out of 7, aerial duels, 2 out of 3. I'm very happy with him, and I'm super, super glad he got a goal. And I think there is a lot more in Armando Broja than I think a lot of fans realize, because obviously you got a few games last season at the Potter, but it was when things were already not going great. And then he got injured. And then we were so bad that everyone just seemed to start to think that everyone that was already here before Enzo turned up is awful. And I feel like that's kind of what planted itself in the minds of fans. I think there's a much better player in Armando Broja than people think. And I hope we get to see it. I hope we do. And brilliant that he got a goal today. Bobby, I'm not sure if you're going to agree with the 7, but what do you think? What did you think about Broja today? What do you think about the comeback and obviously the rating overall as well?
I think when you take everything in the context surrounding him, I thought he was an 8. I thought he did so well today.
I'll go with you. I'll change my mind.
I was surprised. It wasn't just the goal either. And you say it was luck, but he was pressing there. He stuck his foot out. He had the touch on it. He got the goal and he made the run. And I just think his hold-up play was pretty solid today. He was making continued runs down the channels. His height and strength up top helped us get control of the game. And when he came off, that's when everything just went to complete shit. We went to pretty shitty there for a good 20 minutes.
Which is exactly why when we all thought Sterling would start false 9, I had zero confidence that it will work. And when Sterling was on, you could see why. Now, of course, he was ill, so it would have been a bit better otherwise, I assume. But still, you could see it didn't work.
Yeah, exactly. I thought, when you consider everything, like, yeah, the first chance, like we saw that, it might have been onside. Like it was close. But like that's his first legit, he did have a couple of chances last game. But
But they were all with his head, to be fair. That was his first shooting one.
First, I'm sure there were some jitters, a lot of adrenaline going through him, and he just saw it come to him and he just sailed it. But I thought he did really well. When you consider everything surrounding him, I think an 8 is a fair rating and good for him. Hopefully he can, I hope he's healthy. I think he's going to be healthy, and it's serious conversation now, like who starts at number 9, Jackson or Broja.
Yeah. Like obviously Jackson will play the next game, I assume, just to make sure Broja doesn't aggravate anything. But once Broja is back to full fitness, depending on how Jackson does, it's absolutely a conversation that needs to be had. Before I go to you, Python, obviously you can say whether you now think we've gone way overboard with the 8. Even though I do see Bobby's point, that's why I so easily went along with it. If you take everything into consideration, I'm like, okay, if we're going to do that, then I fully agree. I want to highlight one moment. When Martin hit the post, it all stemmed from, I think, a long ball to Broja. He held it up, then went past 2 or 3 players. Then he was kind of face-to-face with Palmer, but he kept the ball. Palmer went round him. Gallagher made a great run. He played it through to Gallagher, made a run into the box himself, but it didn't fall to him, but to Martin, and obviously then he hit the post. But that hold-up play, how he dribbled past 2 players, held it for the right amount of time, found the right pass after. Not many strikers that are also like, that instinctively are also finishers can do those things. So, yeah, I just wanted to highlight that moment. Pice, do you think we've gone overboard? What would you give Broja, with everything included, the fact that it's a comeback from the type of injury it was and everything else?
I'm going to go a bit lower. I thought he was very good, but I give like Enzo and stuff an 8. So I thought Broja was good. I'll go with a 7. I think he was, above average. He definitely was. I was surprised with how good he was, considering obviously like, his injury and stuff like that. And I didn't expect him to start. So fair play to him. I think his hold-up play was brilliant. And what I was really impressed with is, like, I've always thought he's so, for his size, his dribbling is just ridiculous. Like, how good he is with his feet. Absolutely. I say that about Jackson as well. I think we've got 2 strikers here that hopefully will obviously score goals, but they can also, create chances as well. And I think there was one down the side where he was like right on the edge of the line. I thought he was going to run it out, and he pulled it back, and then it got blocked. And I was just like, wow, like his feet are so good. Like really, I've almost like forgot Broja because he's been out for so long. But yeah, hopefully we have the a better player than maybe our fans think. But yeah, I was impressed with, considering how long he was out and stuff. So fair play to him. The goal was lucky, but he had to follow it in. If he stopped running, then we would have been like, well, what the fuck? Why did you stop running? After he didn't get the ball. So
exactly.
Fair play to him.
You make your luck, as they say. You make your luck.
Yeah. By the way, one more thing. I really think he should have scored that header from Palmer's cross. I really, really think he should have scored that. So that's another.
I think I might have missed that. When did that happen?
Well, it was second half. Palmer put a beautiful ball in, and he timed his jump fine. He just headed it over. I thought it was a good chance to score. So.
Okay. Yeah, because I was getting myself fatigued because, like I say, I'm ill at the point of the second half, so maybe I missed it then. That could be because I don't know what you're talking about. So fair play. Absolutely. Let's get to the subs though. We made a lot of subs. We made all 5 subs, which you don't often do, but there you go. We did this time. Can't even spell Caicedo's name. Sorry, bro. There you go. Martin obviously coming on at halftime, so you get the full rating. Seemed to do a lot more work defensively. Almost looked like a wing back sometimes rather than a left winger. Obviously, that's partly because of the type of player he is. He did have one very good cross, but unfortunately, no one was in the middle of getting the end of it, which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it was like great. I'd probably just give him a 6. What about you, Pice? Would you go any higher than that? I mean, his stats aren't bad, but they're not great. And because the second half wasn't great, I don't think I can give him much higher than that.
Yeah, I didn't really notice him that much, to be fair. But obviously, he hit the post. Unlucky, to be fair.
Honestly, you say unlucky. I think he should have scored that because if you see the spin on the ball,
he's not an attacker though, bro. Like he's
but it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter.
I think people forget he's a left back.
He's a professional footballer that made it to Chelsea Football Club. He can hit a ball well enough.
He's good technically, but like
over his shoe.
He's good technically, but like, would you have said the same if Chilwell missed that? Because I personally wouldn't. Really? I don't know.
Yeah, because like it was in the box, and like all he needed to do was get proper contact on it, but because he didn't, he kind of span away from the goal, and that's why it hit the post. Again, I'm not saying it's an awful miss, right? But he should have scored it, and I would have said the same about, well, other than a goalie, probably any player. I would have even said that about centre backs, if I'm being perfectly honest. maybe it's a bit harsh, but I put Caicedo twice there. Yeah, that's true. It was Mudryk that came on for Caicedo. My bad. Thank you, guys.
Bro, he felt like he was there twice today, which was good.
No, it's true.
He was everywhere. Like Kante,
he absolutely
bro.
was. But Pice, do you still agree with the 6, regardless of whether we think the same about the chance?
Yeah. He didn't deserve like any higher or lower. Like he didn't really do anything terrible. Like did all right. He was trucking back defensively as well. Like for one moment, I thought he was a left back, but there was one moment where there was like crossfield ball, and he was almost at the left back. So maybe,
like I say, almost like a left wing back. He played a bit. At the end. By the end, we didn't really have attackers on the pitch anymore. It was Sterling and Gallagher up front, and everybody else was like, I don't even know what position Martos is actually. So, but that was for the last 10 seconds, so it didn't matter.
It was a proper weird game because like even my brother was like, you know how like we attacked the whole, like we didn't touch the left side. It just felt weird. We attacked the whole left side in the first half. Second half, it just felt like everything was trying to go down the right. It was just strange, but
exactly. Bobby, on Martin for the second half, do you agree with the 6? What would you give him?
6 for sure. Thinking the same thing before we even went. Before we even brought it up. Definite 6. Almost scored. It would have been a really pretty goal if he had just been
really pretty
3 inches to the right. It would have been real pretty. The technique on it was nice, but a bit unlucky. But yeah, for me, it was a 6. He wasn't overly bad, but he definitely wasn't anything special.
Absolutely. And I do agree, not with the full comment by Emmanuel here, but lacking match sharpness. I agree with that part. I think if he has more minutes, he probably scores the chance. I think it's just a natural part. If we say it for Mudryk, we can say it for Martin. Just quickly before we get into the other subs, because they will probably all be NAs anyway, the poll for Levi Colbo's rating seems to have gone in favor of an 8.5 rather than a 9. So sorry, Bobby and me, I guess, because I was undecided. An 8.5 it shall be. At the same time, it was Fulham. The second half wasn't that great. Maybe we shouldn't go quite to the height of a 9. But then again, Colwell still was great, regardless of what the second half, the attacking, side of the team did. But yeah, in terms of the subs, even Sterling, who came on with like half an hour to go, do you honestly have anything to give him? Apparently got booked as well. Okay, please go.
Did you see that, bro? Honestly, I want to dock him a rating for doing that.
He was fucking terrible.
Bro, it was ridiculous.
Did he get booked for when he shot after the whistle?
Yeah, he said he didn't hear the whistle. I was like, mate,
bullshit.
Come on.
Bullshit. I heard the whistle.
It's Fulham, not fucking Frankfurt or Galatasaray.
Yeah, it was like it was at Camp Nou or something. Like, shut up.
I thought Sterling was bad. Like, only bad. Like, I feel like he made like 3 sprints tonight, but a lot of times when I was watching him, he was just dropping.
I still think he was probably ill though, to be fair, bro.
Yeah, I don't know that end, but from all I can judge is my eyes and what I see. Like, maybe we should just put NA, but I feel like Sterling was bad tonight and he was pissing me off. Only player I can say that about, though.
Yeah, I don't think it was great either, but like I say, kind of ill.
I'm gonna cut him some slack because I do think he was probably still ill, hence why he didn't start. Probably still got a cold and stuff like that. Affects your fitness, affects your runs, affects your body. So yeah, I would cut him some slack for tonight.
Fair dues. Fair. I think I'm gonna probably agree with Pice and just give him an NA, and that then goes for all the subs. Now, Mudryk did good in terms of when he came on and dropped deep and made sure we didn't lose the ball. And he seems very assured, even under pressure from behind. He doesn't seem fazed by that at all.
One thing about that, I feel like when Ugo Chukwu came on, he started playing like the 6 role that Caicedo was in, and Caicedo like moved up to Gallagher's role, which, Caicedo did that a lot at Brighton, played further up.
Yeah, Caicedo can absolutely do it.
Absolutely. Something to keep in mind going forward if we see that midfield trio.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's great that we have him. Obviously, Lavia, we don't even have available at the moment. So let's see what happens then. But yeah, no, I agree with you. And Aleix Matos got his debut today. Didn't touch the ball, obviously, because... actually had 1 touch and he got dispossessed. But it doesn't matter. At least he got a touch on his debut. I'm happy for him. He's English. Well, why does everyone call him Matos then? Surely he's Matos in. But anyway, we got him from Norwich this summer, from their academy. So got his debut. Fair play to him. I feel a bit harsh for David Washington because he's on the bench every flipping game, never gets brought on, and Alex Matos just gets his debut straight away. I'm a bit baffled by that, but anyway. And yeah, for Mudryk, me and Pice were talking about it before we went live. Maybe it was a bit of a punishment rather to bring him on for the last 5 seconds rather than that it was a genuine bringing on. Obviously, it was time wasting in injury time to see out the game. But yeah, there you go. I don't think there's much more to add to this. And we finish it off with a rating for Mr. Pochettino himself. And not for once, because, this is the our fourth win under him. But Wimbledon, first of all, most of us couldn't see. The second of all, it was a League Two opponent. But I think I'm probably the happiest with him today. Now, you could say the subs, but we were already in a winning position by the time we made the subs. So and the subs were like Mudryk had a knock, Broja was done, Caicedo at the end was done as well. Palmer was his first start, so does he have the legs for more? So they were kind of forced upon him anyway. Didn't really have that much of another choice, and the bench wasn't really stacked enough to really complain about who he decided to bring on. So with that said, I think he picked a good team. I think he found a way through with a lot of injuries, obviously with no right back, no Chile as well now. I think he found a good, solution to make things work. And I'm not quite going to give him an 8, but I'm going to say 7.5. Maybe it's a bit harsh, but I'm going to do it anyway. Bobby, would you give him 7.5? Would you give him 8? What would you give Pochettino today?
I was in my mind. I was like 7, 8. Which one is it? So I think 7.5 is where we should land. Did pretty well at the starting 11, and the subs were kind of wonky, but we can't really fault him for that based on what he has available and then the injuries that occurred during the match. And we got the result, and I thought this is the best he's done as a manager since Liverpool. So, yeah, 7.5 is a fair rating.
Fair dues. Very, very good. And yeah, I don't have time for it today, but yeah, you are sitting good in that. I'm not doing so great. I had a great weekend last weekend. This weekend was absolutely terrible, especially because I wanted Watkins and then decided for Alvarez instead. Alvarez still scored, but obviously Watkins got a hat-trick and assist. So that was a bit sad. But anyway, Pice, 2 7.5s for Pochettino. Would you agree with him? Would you go higher? Jay in the chat said he'd give him an 8. What would you give Poch?
I won't go quite as high as an 8. I'm actually going to give him a 7 because I judge managers a lot off their intent, and when we went 2-0 up, and the fact he said it was a fantastic performance, I don't agree. I was a bit annoyed with how our mentality, how we let off the gas, and I think coming from the manager, I feel like he could have demanded more. As I said, it almost felt like 2-0. We felt like the game was done, and I didn't like that personally. I really didn't. I felt like we could have.
Do you think that it would felt like that from 2-0? Because I still think we kept playing the same way for the rest of the first half.
No,
for me, I felt it after halftime.
No, I felt it before halftime, personally.
Okay.
I felt like as soon as we got that second goal, we was like, okay, job done. If we score again, we score again. I wanted today to be that moment where we genuinely score 4-5, and I just didn't feel like it was attack after attack. I felt like it was a bit of pragmatism in the approach, and yeah, I don't know. I go with a 7. I thought it was an alright performance. We got 3 points, but nothing, that special. I think we played better in other games and not one. So it's how do I judge that? It's weird.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, especially because with the endorphin levels as a fan, it's difficult to compare games when you can't score to save your life to ones where you scored 2 goals in a minute.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Considering we had less possession than Fulham, I don't know if Poch changed something on the basis of that, because there was a few games like West Ham, Forest, Bournemouth, Luton as well, obviously, but we won that. We had 70+% possession every game, and now the last 2 we had less than the opponent, and we won those 2. So make of that what you will. So let's see how that one keeps going on. This is, by the way, why, and I didn't necessarily expect it. Okay, it was Brighton, I suppose, but against Fulham. But this is why I wasn't. A lot of people were really concerned about the run of fixtures that we've got coming up, right? In terms of these better teams, more difficult games. And I was like, but maybe we're more suited to those games anyway than we are to being the clear favorite and the far dominant team with the other team just parking the bus. Maybe we are actually more likely to get points and goals. It's games that are a bit more open. Maybe that's more us. And today is kind of a bit of a suggestion that proves that, I suppose. But again, Fulham away, I would like to have more than 44%. Obviously, what matters is winning. But in an ideal world, as a top team, you should have more possession than Fulham. But hey, it is what it is. Overall, it still leaves us at a 7.5 rating for Mr. Pochettino. And I think we're going to round this one out. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here, subscribe. If you haven't already, that would be massively appreciated. Hit that like button anyway. Just one click of a button that really helps me out. Doesn't cost you any money. Doesn't cost you any time, really. So just on your way out, hit that like button. It really means a lot. And of course, check out Pice's website, londonsfirst.com, as well as his Twitter. And of course, also Bobby's Twitter, USA CFC, talking about Chelsea, talking about AC Milan as well now, obviously, since Pulisic's move. But, for him, it's Pulisic. For me, it's Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I still also talk about AC Milan all the time. So, there you go. It is what it is. Check out Bobby. Check out Pice. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, subscribe like I told you already. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks.